Hi, this is Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today we're talking Moonology. But this isn't any ordinary Moonology. This is Moonology with our new moon in a solar eclipse in the sign of Aries. Let's talk all about it and get you some more information. So let's talk about it. Let's first talk about the Aries part of it. The Aries energy is going to be kind of making us feel like we can solve our problems faster, or we can kind of work through things faster than we normally do. But I guarantee you, kind of one of the best things to do is kind of slow it down and really think, have I learned everything in this situation that's about to go? Have I learned everything that I required knowing at this part? And kind of the best way to do that is kind of like list things out. What are the things that I've learned in this relationship? And it could be a work relationship, friends relationship, husband, wife, whatever it is. Like, have I learned all of this? And kind of like listing them out. This came up and I learned this. This came up and I learned that. So that's kind of a great way to really think about kind of like, have I worked through all of this? And not making Aries kind of push us forward, but just knowing that it's time to kind of start closing those doors. And if we learn all our lessons from it, we're not going to get that lesson again. We're kind of like, we've closed the door, it's all over with. So it's really important to kind of slow down that decision-making time and kind of take a more comfortable pace and opening up. Have I learned everything I was supposed to, or is there something else in this that I'm really meant to learn? Because what really kicks in is this whole new moon energy of like what's coming at us. This new moon energy is all about what's new, coming in fast, and kind of like what's coming up next. And if we haven't finished everything else, we're going to get like everything chaotic and just like smushed in together. And we don't want that. We really don't. I know it sounds really great. Like, yes, I'm ready for that new position at work. But if you haven't learned everything that you're supposed to learn, and sometimes it's like you've learned it, but you haven't really thought like, wow, I really did learn this. I really did get this part really well. So it's kind of one of those like, did I really learn everything? Make sure that you have, so you don't have this come back up again. So let's talk about the solar eclipse part. Now, most unfortunately, this solar eclipse is not happening visible in the United States. It is not visible at all. I think it's like India and like Australia where it's visible. But I guarantee you, no matter where you live at in the world, you are going to feel the effects because it happens globally. And everything that happens in the moon, even a full moon on the other side of the planet, is going to affect us no matter where you're at. It's going to affect everybody. And so that's what this eclipse is going to do. Even though it's on the other side of the world from us, it is still going to affect us. It is still going to be making energy kind of affect us in so many different ways. Now, one of the things that's kind of interesting is it starts about 8:30 in the evening, Houston Standard Time, or Central Standard Time. The height of it is literally like 11:16, right before midnight, and it'll be the height of it, and you're going to like feel that energy of like wanting new things to come in, wanting new parts to kind of like start. We're really going to be like, yes, here we go. And then it kind of completely finishes about 2 o'clock in the morning, Central Standard Time. So it's kind of like, it'll be complete with all of that. So it's kind of just that energy of this new moon coming in and kind of eclipsing the sun, and kind of that energy of all of that. So it's kind of like, wow, here we go. The cool part is taking your time to decide what you've learned, what you haven't learned, anything else that you need to get in order before all of this happens. Because if not, it is going to stay affecting you, and you'll have new things coming in, but you'll have the old stuff coming still there as well. And it's like, it makes it easier if we get rid of all the old stuff and then allow the new stuff to come in. And a lot of people are calling this our big pink moon eclipse. It is a pink moon, and it's called a pink moon because the flower is very pink, and it blooms during this time frame. And so it's going to be kind of like that pink color of the phlox is kind of what they put on the moon, even though it's not really, that's what they call it. But that's kind of an interesting thing, because that's also kind of like bringing in this new era of what do we want to bring in new to our lives? What is the new part? And because we're stepping into spring, we've got all these spring flowers coming up. and like the flocks and so many others, we're going to be in that mood of like, let's clear it out. Let's get, clear out the old and bring this in, kind of like our spring cleaning. What else do we want to bring in? That is a great thing to think about. It's kind of like, are we complete with everything that we're getting rid of? If there's something that we want to hang on to that we really shouldn't let go of right yet, that's something important to kind of keep in mind as we move forward. But let's do some angel cards and kind of really find out what our angels want us to know about this energy, because a lot of times we don't always consult our angels and guides, but I guarantee they have some messages for us. So these literally popped out in one group. So I'm like, okay, we've got this whole group that we're going to go through. So let's start with this one. This one is Jupiter, and this is all about the abundance. We're going to have an abundance of new things starting around us, starting a new life, kind of ending that old chapter and opening up to the new one. What else is the new that you really want to open up into? And that's going to be an abundance of new things. Make sure you take note of this. Make sure that you're taking note of what's coming in new, what you're ready to let go of, and what is it that you're ready to change or do differently? Our next card is, this is all Taurus, and this is all about the cultivating. What we want to cultivate is an adventure, a new life, new things are coming in, not getting rid of all the old stuff, but getting rid of the old stuff that doesn't work anymore so we can open up into some new, amazing energy that's going to really help us along our life path. I think that's kind of the best part. Deliberated, and this is all about the discomfort. When we are letting go of things, a lot of times, like, people are like, I don't want to really let go of this, or it's been comfortable. It is. A lot of times, if we don't get rid of it when it's comfortable, it starts getting discomfortable. It's kind of like, this is hanging on longer, or I thought this job would be over. If you're kind of going through that part, sit down and what are the things that you should have learned during that time frame, and take note of that. Like, I want to learn about that. Learn about that energy so that you can kind of like list it out and kind of like, I learned this thing and I learned this and I learned this. And as you do, a lot of times you're like, well, I learned this, but I guess I didn't think I learned this. And as you do, a lot of times, like, everything shifts into place and you're like, oh, that's exactly what they wanted to hear, is they wanted to know I got this part, so I'm ready to move forward. The last one is actually the moon and the perception. A lot of times, like, our perception is always that we're ready for the next part. Who wants to say, oh yeah, still have a whole bunch of work to do? Who wants to hear that part? Nobody wants to hear, there's still work that I have to do. There's still things I'm not ready to let go of. There's still things that I'm kind of like hanging on to. It's one of those. The perception of this is kind of like, while I'm by myself, while I'm thinking clearly on all of this, what are the things that I really have to hold on to? What are the things that I really have to work forward into, and kind of bringing that energy forward, kind of like, yeah, here we go. This energy, this perception of like, I'm ready to move forward. What did I learn? What can I take forward? And what am I willing to kind of go through next? Kind of like, what is the next level for me? Where am I going next? Because everybody has a next level. Even if you're like, well, they're at the top of the game, there's always more to learn. There's always something else to learn. Either that or you start a new game. It just happens over and over again. But I guarantee you, this new moon in solar eclipse in the sign of Aries is going to be a magnificent one, and it's going to bring in this amazing energy. Now, I will tell you, I've got a whole bunch of videos already out on the eclipse, so I'm going to list those below, and I want you to know that it's a great time to really think about some things going on in your life, because this solar eclipse does not just end on a drop of a dime. It is going to be really, really high for months. Before it starts tapering off, and it doesn't taper off until the next set of eclipses, sometime October, November timeframe of later on this year. We've still got this energy coming in. We've still got that energy of this new moon solar eclipse bringing in what's new, what's fresh, what are new ideas for us. And it's important to keep that in our mind as we move forward. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.